I guess it would make sense if you tell us a bit about the story of the game.
Doug Mendoza is an occult detective. He wrote the code, so monsters and humans get along in Lisbon. And he took Eurico as his apprentice. And he has another two members of the team, which is Pasul and Gargoyle. Pasul is a demon inside a girl, and Gargoyle is just a gargoyle. So they resolve supernatural cases, and in this game they get this they fight with a sort of gypsy curse that is like killing people in Lisbon, and I think that's like a teaser for the game. I think it's not a spoiler to say that Doug Mendoza is going to disappear at what end, and Eurico has to find it, resolve the case, and save not the world, but I think that can sum it up a little bit.
The case starts like a very small thing. It starts with a girl looking for the truth about her mother's death, and suddenly it grows a lot into this gypsy curse and a lot of murders and danger, all around. So it's a very cool story. I think it suits a lot for the game.
Since the game is based on a graphic novel comic series, what's your connection to the comic?
I'm one of the authors of the comic book, so it's very organic for me to keep working, on Doug Mendoza. I work still with Juan and Felipe, which are my partners on the comic book. Juan is the one that makes the drawings, so we keep working together. I'm doing the art direction of the game. I'm the art director of OKAM Studio, so it's a very organic way to transform the kind of work that we're doing. I mean, I'm just taking care of the arts and animation. It's like keep working on the art of this IP. It's great. Only for games.
Don't be so humble. Now he's great, and the art aesthetic, they really. It's just like the same as the graphic novel. It's the same team. Santiago is making the art direction in the game, but he's working also with Kavia, which makes some drawings when we need it. And we are working with Philippe too in all the narrative part with our script writer and me. So I think that's like the core team for Doug Mendoza. And then we have a lot of people doing animation, doing coloring flat and all the backgrounds, and now PR and all that stuff.
Was it difficult for you to get the same style of the graphic novel books in the computer game? Because probably in some ways it's a little different from the process.
For some stuff it might be difficult, or it can bring some trouble. For example, we started to do animations for Eurico, for Pizza Boy, the main character, in pencil, in board, or like traditional animation, old school animation. For the game, because we needed so many animations, we started to work more digitally. Yeah. So trying to blend those styles was a bit of a trouble, but it ended up looking very well. We managed. All the characters and all the backgrounds are also drawing first on traditionally and then painted digitally. Mm-hmm. But everything is very handcraft. I mean, it's something that I like to do with the coloring and the finishing of the artwork. Always is not work on a digital resource with digital resources. I mean, the tool is digital, but the way you use it is traditional. We are painting every shadow and every light. It's not like we're using gradients. That's what I mean. And for the animation, we are working traditionally and also cutout animation with our engine, with Godot. And I don't know, it's looking great. I mean, it's always a mix. We're using very mixed techniques, but I don't know, it's coming along great. When we did the first book, it was done really amateur. You know, Juan and I were very young and I wouldn't say like unprofessional, but I would say unprofessional. I mean, it's like we were working on other stuff, but we never did comic books before. So it was our very first comic book, like done by ourselves. Models of for the characters were not like very professionally handled. You know, there were no character sheets. You know, there were no poses for references. So if you read the first comic book, I think it's a pretty comic book. It has a lot of love, but you may notice that there are a lot of things that are done like weirdly, you know, because the faces are sometimes are different, you know, that kind of stuff. And when we started to do the game, it was the very first time that we sat down and said like, okay, for this we can't mess around. We have to do sheets, we have to do all the work for pre-production, so a lot of people can work with it, you know. So it was a step up for us, and I don't know, it gave the IP a lot of more quality at the end.
Why did you go for the adventure genre?
The whole spirit of the IP is very inspired by the Imaginarium of the 80s, of all the movies that we used to watch with when we were kids, and the games also that we played when we were kids. There is a very recognizable aesthetic for that time, in color, in clothing, on jokes, on character design. So when we think about Doug Mendoza, we always are thinking also of old movies like Back to the Future, like Indiana Jones, like Howard the Duck, like Big Trouble in Little China, you know, adventure movies that really inspired us when we were kids and we were growing to be professional artists. When we thought about doing a game for this, we thought, like, hey, why don't we do an adventure game? I mean, we had a lot of this influence for very old adventure games like Monkey Island and like Manic Mansion and I don't know, the classics, you know, the Sierra ones, the Lucas Art ones. So it was very organic for us to think like, hey, the best genre of game that could suit Doug Mendonça Pizza Boy would definitely be an adventure game.
You started as a Kickstarter, and now a while ago you announced that Koch is going to be publisher of Doug Mendoza. How does it change the game as it was initially meant to be?
It changes a lot. I mean, but for better, luckily. I mean, we sadly will take us a little more time. We talked to the backers directly when we got that, like, with the like that turn of events. But it will be a very bigger game, a better game. We will have dubbing, we will have more gameplay, we will have way more content. You know, it would be an amazing project now. I mean, we were supposed to do this episode of Doug Mendoza, and now we're making a standalone game that it's very cool. You know, with a lot of an amazing music. You know, a very like long and cool script.
Yeah, we have like at least more resources and a bigger bag with the publisher to just to explore some things a little more, and they're great. They're really great. They just like trust us, and they when they review some build or something, they just say, okay, this is great, but they never said you should change this or that. We still have all the creative aspect. They only want just to like maximize or push the IP more, so it gets to more people for more platforms, and with the dubbing and all the PR and the marketing, it's going to be on boxes, I think, on the retail, which is really cool for us. And I think that they are really a great partner to work with, and it's nice to have that kind of publisher. I think it's not the first time, but we really feel comfortable working with them, and I think the backers are going to see that dynamic in the game, that okay, yeah, they make a better game with those resources or whatever, and I think things are coming along well. I know we took some time more, we are a little bit delayed, but it's all for good. We are working our asses off, and we're just trying to not rush things, to say, okay, this sequence, something is missing here, let's work on the pacing a little more, let's just make another frame to try to, I don't know, make this action more clear. And we could do that because we have now a publisher that it's like trusting us, and with the Kickstarter money and the Kickstarter time, maybe we could be a little bit rushed to deliver something, and we really don't want that. We really want that the Dog Mendonça game is a really polished, stylish game with really funny dialogues. And now they told us that all the English dubbing is done, which is great. We heard the main character is awesome. It's awesome for us too. So we are like point-and-click enthusiasts. We are really fond of that genre. And when I was speaking with Philippe when he was in Buenos Aires, he told me, I just stopped playing games in the 90s, in the 93, 95. So he's still in the 90s as a player. So when we were speaking about making which genre of game, it's an action game, it's an RPG, Philippe was like, the only games that he knew were like adventure games, point and click. It's like, it's the last game that he played. And I think that they're like the games that I really like, and the games that we have the skills to make. I know it's like low tech or that, but we have like really great art style, and we have a really great storytelling. That's our main points or selling points of the studio, and we feel really comfortable doing that kind of stuff.
Since you were talking about Koch not expecting any specific changes except for that it's going to be bigger and standalone, as you said. We were wondering how it's going with swastikas in the game.
Actually, in the game there aren't any. So, but because there was no part of the story, right?
Yeah, that's part of the first book. Yeah. It's on the comics, and in the game it's another story, and there's not that kind of stuff. So, but if in the future we need to make, we just need to make some adjustments. It's more of the concept than the thing itself. So, but we know that there are like huge issues with that, and I think that Panini is going to release the comics here, and they already make some changes to the comic for that. So it's not going to be a problem, I think.
I heard that there's going to be German voiceovers. What can you tell us about that?
We don't speak German.
We don't speak German, sadly.
We trust Daniel, which is our producer. As I know, they took some VIP actors for NPCs. They took a really great talent for Rico or Pizza Boy, the main character. Yeah, and the studio that is making the dubbing, it's well known, and they're crafted, and they work with a lot of adventure games, and they tell me that they were really happy with the material. That we were just a little, I don't know, afraid that maybe some things were not going to work, and they were really happy. Like they could play a lot with the material, with the dialogues. So I think it's going to be fine. But really, as we don't speak German, it's going to be really hard to tell. I just only hear like, okay, feel the sensations or the emotion that he's trying to express. But we are really happy with everything is coming along really well, and we have to work more to polish things a lot. We really wanted that people feel that this is like a really good game. We are trying to make the best game possible for us, the one we wanted to make, at least 3 years ago, but now we have more and more experience. We work a lot in between, so I think it's going to be a good game, at least.
Do you recommend that people read the comics before playing the games?
It's not completely necessary,
Yeah.
but you will understand things better, or you may be more into the humor and the code of the narrative code of the IP, you know?
It's not really necessary. I think that you have a lot of introductions of the characters in the game, and you don't have to read the comics to enjoy the game, but it's an experiment, I think. Many people could prefer to read the books and get in the kind of style of humor, or many people just want to play the game and then go to the comic book. I think it's going to work the two ways around. For me, it's the same. It's just make what you feel right, and it's perfect.
Yeah, it's not like we're trying to sell the comic through a game, you know, but
It'd be nice.
it would be nice. But we would love to people read the comic book so they can understand some jokes better, or maybe like they can be closer to the characters, you know, like get to know them better. But the game is definitely a standalone. There, as Lucas said, there are introductions, so it's not like you're not understanding things.
Before we conclude, is there anything else that is really important for you to mention to our readers, viewers?
Yeah, we would like to thank you very much. I know that you're backers too, so thank you so much for supporting us. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. We are very sensible to the fact that Kickstarters have a tendency of delaying, and we don't want to be in that position. But we are very happy that we are actually delivering way more for the same price, you know, or the same kind of support that you gave us. So we hope you get happy when you see the game, and we are doing this for us, but also for you. So I hope that you love us a little more when the game launches. Thanks for the love. I mean.
And when do you think can we expect the game? What's the ideal?
Sadly, we don't have an official release date, but it's coming very soon. Yeah, definitely soon.
2015 or 2016?
I can say, but soon. Yeah, very soon.
But it's soon. It's really soon. We're around the corner, but just that thing we can say. But
Around the corner, and like 10 meters of the corner, and we take a look, and it's there. You know, like it's very soon.
We're going to release the game when it's like really done, but it's not going to take that much time. So wink, 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 wink. Did you understand?
I guess that for sure we will have at least a release date in, I don't know, in the same months for sure. I mean, it's in the next weeks we'll have a release date for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Then I'm really looking forward to the results, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.